of football.
This is the best of football, and it's a very special one today because we have a very special guest on. I'll tell you about him later. We've come a long way, and we've been on the pitch and off the pitch many times and done many other things. Don't worry, nice things, I can assure you. OJ is back today. Welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Dudu. Nice to be back.
Great.
I'm back for good.
You're good. And sitting opposite OJ is Jide, who I prefer to call Lejide.
Good afternoon. It's good to be back again.
Okay. There's a man who's, I'm sure you've seen many other places, but today is with us on the best of football. His name is Mr. Segun Agbede. We fondly call him Betty. Betty, welcome to the best of football.
Well, I'm here and I already have woke up. Where's my old TC? It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, gentlemen, a lot has happened in the football world. And quickly, Mr. Gianni Infantino is making use for the wrong reasons. OJ, I mean, he tried to sell the parts of the World Cup or sell it in bits, call it whatever. What's your take on what he has done?
I think it's crazy. Somehow, I think the World Cup got into his head and he thought he could, just come up with something funny. And it's unbelievable. Fine. You might say, he doesn't own the World Cup. The World Cup is FIFA says football unites the world. He has come up with something that has disunited the world, which I don't know how he's going to save himself, save his head, and save every other thing around him. I'm sure he didn't expect this reaction, especially from he didn't think this through at all. He didn't think about it, knowing his issues with FIFA, with UEFA.
Yeah.
If he had really thought about it, I'm sure he'll have somewhere will have told him not to try it. He just woke up one morning, clearly to me, because it's obvious. Even his inner circle have come out to say they didn't even know about it. I mean, when things happen like this, everybody will try to protect themselves. One or two have even resigned to tell you how bad it is. So it's you can't just wake up and sell football like that. I mean, the World Cup is different. You're not, you live there one day, but you don't just come and say you want to sell off the World Cup. The World Cup is not, American sports, the franchises control those sports. It's not like football. And you can't just say you want to sell FIFA to a particular group for whatever amount they want to bring. And it's good to see that those who think properly came out straight away and told him, you cannot do this, Oga.
Jide, Misadventure, what's the best way to describe what Infantino has done or got himself into?
Yeah, so I'm still struggling to understand it because the handwriting was on the wall for a while. Now, the thing is, people think this is not a new thing. It actually started last year, 2025. It was a conversation that started in 2025, towards the end of the year. And nobody really paid attention. So the truth is, some certain people in FIFA knew that these conversations were going on. Nobody said anything. Now, he wasn't only looking to sell the World Cup. He was looking to sell, he called it minority stakes in certain FIFA properties, but they were the biggest properties that FIFA has. Wanted to sell commercial rights for the World Cup, the main World Cup from 2027 to 2030. I wanted to sell commercial rights for FIFA Club World Cup. I wanted to completely sell off FIFA Plus, which is the streaming service that FIFA owns, which is where you get to watch games that are not on terrestrial TV or even satellite TV in certain regions of the world. So it was basically looking to dismantle FIFA, more or less. But like I said, some people knew it was going on. And it's funny because I think he was a bit of getting power drunk, because the statutes that support FIFA, Act 2 specifically says that the FIFA properties are owned by FIFA and all the member associations, 211 of them. and that unless you get Congress approval, you cannot do things like he's trying to do. So the question is, did he not know that the law stated that? Or he knew and maybe some people had convinced him, don't worry, we'll support you, just go ahead with it. There are still a lot of stories that will come out along the way that would let us know what is going on. But it's a shame though, because he's looking like he's going to end the way he did not plan to end.
Now, to our very respected guest, Segun, what, in your opinion, is likely to happen, given the reaction of federations and some countries so far?
Well, I agree with both what with OJ and Jide have said, and I liken Gianni Infantino to Icarus, the Greek legend who is supposed to have flown too close to the sun, so with wings of wax. I mean, if we go back a bit, you hosted the biggest and probably most successful World Cup in history.
Yeah.
I mean, whether we should have 48 nations in the World Cup is another argument entirely, whether it should be 64. But I was all for 48, and I think it was one of the best, most entertaining World Cups. But when I started seeing, the hubristic nature of Infantino, was after hosting such a wonderful World Cup, forget about all the shenanigans, the Balogun so I really feel sorry for Folarin Balogun. Was going to be go down his for all the wrong reasons and nothing to do with it. He wrote his silly and very stupid letter after the World Cup, talking about haters and all that. And I said this was very petty and small-minded. Less than a week later, this bombshell dropped. The long and the short of it, he's going to do well to hang on. The election, next FIFA election is March 18th next year. I think Morocco. Yeah. So everybody has been saying UEFA doesn't like Infantino, but the irony of it, over 40 nations had already sent in their letters of support for Infantino, even though he has issues with the UEFA president. But by now, Wales started the ball rolling by withdrawing their letter. Serbia has withdrawn their letter. Sweden has withdrawn. So the challenge, what UEFA are trying to do, try to get another candidate to stand against him. It's looking right now, it's looking at the CONCACAF president, Mr. Vincent Monteglia or something like that. He's like the chairman of the North American, president of North American Federation, Canada, to stand against him. And so, or try to push through a vote of no confidence so that he doesn't actually get to the election next year. So right now, Infantino is on very, very thin ice.
Infantino on thin ice. He created the ice. He has to try and ski on it. Okay. The confederations may come as a group to support or oppose him. The challenge of us, or the worry I have, is CAF. Segun, back to you. What do you think of the graveyard silence from CAF so far?
Funny enough, I was having a conversation this morning with a good friend of ours, Jonathan Ayabere. You see, the challenge we have in Africa, unfortunately, they call us the dark continent and all. In some ways, we might still be, unfortunately. We worship only this neck of the woods. But in America, not everything, it's not about money. Now, and I'll say this with no apologies to anybody. Can you imagine our NFF here? They dashed them £40 million. What gerrymandering will they get up to? So for me, unfortunately, CAF, in my opinion, they haven't said anything. They just kept a very stoic silence. It's all about the money, but it's our figures. Jide mentioned the 211 nations. FIFA has 55. CONCACAF has 44. Not sure how many there are in Asia. Asia has
45 thereabout.
45, good. So if you do the math, if Europe, Asia, and CONCACAF, CONMEBOL too has been quiet.
CONMEBOL has been quiet.
But the figures, the magic number is 106. If 106 members of confederations, if you can get that vote, then to swing against Infantino.
They say CAF or the African Football Administrators are too beggarly and impecunious that it would go. All of that will weigh in Infantino's favor.
Yeah, I mean, just like Shegun asserted, you look at even the responses. I think a few African, federation presidents have responded, and they were just in that direction that they know what the money will help them, a lot. I saw, I think a video. It was Ghana. And someone was saying, with all that has been coming, what's in Ghana?
What have they done with it?
What have they done with it? I mean, you come to Nigeria again, you probably want to ask the same question. The one in Delta, the trouble has not ended.
So that's a stadium on an island.
Yes. The one in Zamfara. In Kebbi. I think that one is in Kebbi. You look at the pictures and you keep asking yourself, you compare that to what some others have done in Europe with what they have, and you begin to ask yourself, it's clear that, that's the way we just portray ourselves. If African countries will be complaining, Europe is just taking a stand. Over here, some people are complaining that the money will have been helpful, and people know where this money will go to.
Jide, a former chairman of the president of the NFF, Mr. Pinnick, before he went on a big network and started justifying Infantino's moves. Should he be apologizing to us?
In a sane country, probably yes. But we know Nigeria is not always sane. So those apologies should not be expected anytime soon. We had a conversation yesterday where you said he was invited to an event and he said he was out of the country. So he has started, putting himself out of the spotlight. But basically what he did was it's self-preservation, in all honesty. And like Shegun said, that's the problem with Africa. Typically, Africans look after themselves before they look after anybody else. And that's why I said at the beginning that I'm pretty sure there were people that were aware of this plan. Because it just did not go down well with other people. Everybody is coming out to act like they were not aware that you caught them by surprise. He would definitely not have gone ahead with this if he did not have certain assurances that at some point we will support you and probably will get others to support you and all of that, But Pinnick will not apologize. We know Pinnick. He's not going to apologize. He said what he said, and he's moved on from it. Unless he doesn't think he owes anybody anything or anybody can do anything to him. So that's ship has said.
Shegun said something about Infantino's hubris, and I think that's more like what happened rather than people urging him on.
Yeah, it's more. Yeah, the thing with pride is it blocks all your senses of reasoning. In many situations. He in his quiet moments, I can guarantee that he had worries about this whole thing. But, people who have egos, large egos particularly, don't really see anybody else apart from themselves. And they tend to believe that they know everything and that they are the saviors of everybody else. So clearly, I'm pretty sure he had worries. He knew it was not going to be plain sailing. But then again, he felt strongly in his own ego that he would get it done whichever way he was going to get it done. So it was pride to a large extent, even though I feel it was foolish pride, because if you look at the numbers he needs to get these things approved, prior to the World Cup, he said it's that, 106 was the number he needed. Prior to the World Cup, he practically had the 106 sealed up, but then all the funny things that started happening in the World Cup and all the decisions he was making made it obvious that, he didn't really think he needed certain people anymore. Because if he did, he would not have made some of the decisions he made.
Okay, we'll come back in the second part of the program. We'll still be interrogating Infantino's actions. Stay with us. Best of football. Welcome back. This is the best of football. if you're just joining us. OJ is on set, and so is Jide, but it's our guest, Shego. The mic belongs to now. Shego, do you see Infantino resigning?
No, I don't think he's that kind of guy. I really don't think so. And I just want to retrace something I spoke about earlier. You know, you asked today about how much is a friend of mine and everything. I won't criticize. I think it was his own opinion. You understand? That's what he felt. And if you ask me, if you look at it, there's the whole essence of FIFA and the money they made. This was they broke records.
Yeah,
they made anywhere between $12 and $15 billion. That's a lot of money. You understand? Which is supposed to be plowed back to the game, into the game. But the question, so when I first thought, but I thought Infantino is a dodgy somebody. That was my thinking first. And then they mentioned one name, just one name. That that guys asked me who that name was. Joshua Kushner. And I thought to myself, Jared junior brother.
Oh, okay.
Joshua, Jared, my junior brother. I said, Yanni, they're all related. You understand? If in-laws, Trump's in-laws, no, it can't be good. You understand? That's why I know it can be good. So do I see him resigning? The simple answer to that question is no. I don't see it.
Okay, Infantino he was Platini's Secretary General before he became FIFA president, straight from outside. Are we likely to see somebody from outside as his successor if he eventually loses the battle, or from inside?
I think it will be going to be someone from outside the game, because from now, no names. Back then, maybe the way under Platini and Blatter, the way that organization grew, there were people within who could come out and do the job, just like that room was created for him. But again, perhaps the kind of person that he is, I don't think there's anybody within, and so it has to be from outside. And names already coming up. I mean, UEFA is spearheading this. Obviously, they will have they also have the candidate they're supporting. That will also the thing called from outside anyway, because I don't think they're bringing somebody from within UEFA. So it's certainly from outside, either CONCACAF or the PSG guy.
Jide, what do you think are the chances of the PSG guy?
Yeah, so he's one of 4 people that have been mentioned so far. The issue with him is there is conflict of interest with him, because he's president of PFA, of PSG. He's basically CEO of Bain, chairman of the ECA, European Clubs Association. He's leaning towards one side a little too much for his own good. I think that will work against him. Plus all the stories about interference from the states at his own end as well. I'm not sure it's something that's going to work for him. But like I said, he's one of the 4. There's the AFC president as well, Salman bin Ibrahim, who has been mentioned as a potential. And then Shegu mentioned Victor Montagliani earlier. I suspect that, and then of course some people have mentioned our dear own Patrice Motsepe, even though he seems to have political ambitions in South Africa. I doubt he's going to be interested in going that level. I think there's a contradiction. I would prefer somebody from outside the game, because none of these people currently in the game have done anything to show that they deserve to be FIFA presidents. But the fear on the other side is, you bring somebody from outside, he's probably going to come with the same commercial mindset that Infantino has suddenly developed. He might not know the ins and outs of the game and how to navigate the intricacies of these things. So if you are looking for someone from the outside, you also have to be wary of over-commercialization of the game, which is what everybody's blaming Infantino for now. So having to balance that commercial side of the game with following processes and procedures, which Infantino seems not to be doing, because he's basically chased all his enemies away with the FIFA ethics committee. And he's, if you raise a dissenting voice, something just comes up and then you just have to leave. So it's a bit of an awkward situation for FIFA. There's nobody currently there. Maybe Bin Salman and Montagliani. There's really nobody there now that I think is justifiably good enough to be FIFA president. There's a version of FIFA that is even saying that maybe they should scrap the president of FIFA title and create a leadership committee that's headed by a chairman to devolve powers across different people, so that one person doesn't decide he owns the whole organization and, start to do whatever he wants, which is basically what you have at the moment. Well, it'll be interesting to see. Maybe in the coming days, somebody might come out that, everybody will back. OJ said, UEFA hasn't come up with any candidates. They won't mention anything about, so maybe they have an ace up their sleeves, but we'll find out in the very near future.
Shegu?
Funny enough, I have a confession to make. I was just keeping at Jide's mouth, in the sense that I was coming out of it. But I disagree with the last portion. I don't think UEFA is in any position, because they've been known to be an opponent to, if they put in something in the ring with, so this is what you wanted all along. But I agree with you 100%. I agree with you about the KFC guy. Apparently, he doesn't want it anyway.
Yeah.
And he has too many models, many pies. I also agree with you too that maybe FIFA should look outside FIFA for a candidate, maybe that an independent candidate, someone that knows the game, somebody that, of course, understands the commercial aspect. And in as much as I've waxed lyrical about the 2026 World Cup, there was also a huge dichotomy there. Because it was held in America, the costs to fans.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
It was totally unreal.
Yeah.
It was the hydration breaks, the commercial aspect. It can be done. It can be, the average was $900 to $1,000 for a ticket. That's absolutely insane. How many people can afford that? Yes, the stadiums are full, but because of their purchasing power, they understand how to live it. But Infantino pushed that through and all that, and it's costing healthy there. So whoever comes in now, and maybe that's where he got this, but I'm sure that he's been cooking this idea for a long time. So whoever comes in now has to be much more realistic, realize that football is the people's game, and you shouldn't allow it to go beyond the commercial interest or the interest of the fan.
Okay, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking about something that will interest a lot more people than Infantino losing the private jets revving on the tarmac waiting for him and all the goodies of the office. We'll be back shortly. Best of football. Welcome back. We are on to the best of football, and we have all four of us ready to talk about European football, club football that resumes in the new week, specifically the EPL. But first of all, let's look at La Liga. I know Shegu, who was looking at me with as a corner eye, I don't want to talk about Mourinho. Jose Mourinho, some people said it was in football wilderness when he was in Turkey and he could never get a good job. He is back where it happens the most. Your thoughts?
My thoughts as, let me choose my words carefully, as an older person, not an old person, as an older person, I'm really enthused and happy for Mourinho because, to be honest, I belong to that school of thought. I thought his best days were behind him. To be honest. We're talking about Roma, is where Inter. No, Inter won. He did well in Inter. He won. That's why he won.
After Roma was the Fenerbahce,
and Roma he won it. He won the Conference League. Then what you will call it? The last time he's won real solid silver was with Manchester United.
Yeah.
The Europa Cup in 2017. Then Benfica. Benfica was even a little bit on the up. So to go back and get that Real Madrid job, where he actually beats a Pep Guardiola Barcelona to win the title in his last year in charge, I think with the 100 points, and he scored over 100 goals. You understand? it's really, really good. It's a lesson for me that in life it's never too late. You understand? It's never too late. You can, just keep, once you are there, you can get things out. So and then Real Madrid too have never gone more than 2 years without winning silverware. It's never been done. So for me, as we speak now, with the squad that they have, the acquisitions, especially if Rodri comes in and they've already got, what's this guy? Bernardo Silva, that's the guy with the Cucurella, mad fellow, and all, they got the Mbappe. I think Vini is just pretending, he wants to up his graces. I think they'll give Barcelona. If I was a betting man, I'd put money on Real Madrid and Mourinho winning the title, because that's their fatal malaise of last season. That rampant and total indiscipline in the squad. Mourinho's going to stamp it out. That's not going to happen. We won't hope this.
Gide, you just say, back at Real Madrid.
Yeah, it came at a good time for him. So he might not have been back. You have to remember the context of how he got there. Perez had an election to win. He had problems. Prior to that, a large proportion of the club were unhappy with certain things that were going on. And he felt he needed somebody who was like him, basically. So obviously, he mentioned, there was clearly indiscipline in that squad last season. It was very obvious. But all the coaches they brought in couldn't address it, because the players were basically bigger than the coaches. So the first thing he realized was I needed a coach who had the aura, the charisma, the presence to be able to control these people. And then he also needed a coach who did whatever he wanted, regardless of what anybody says. Because that's if you remember all the stories before the elections, he went all out attacking all his opponents, saying stuff like they would have to shoot him and kill him before he would get that. He wasn't going to resign, he was going to be here forever and all of that. And if you look at Mourinho is made cut from the same cloth. So for them, it was a match made in heaven. He decided he was going to go that way. I really hope that it works out for them, because if you remember how Mourinho's first tenure ended, it wasn't very nice. And a lot of people are wondering if he might end up the same way. I personally feel he won't stay very long, in all honesty. But he's been brought in to do a job. Perez had a specific reason for bringing him into that club. I didn't bring him in to last forever. I brought him to do certain things. I hope he gets to do it. And then more important, I hope he gets to win trophies while doing it, because he's been, the greats are the greats, regardless of what you say. Mourinho is a great. Many people don't like him, but he's a great manager. He's apart from a very select few, most managers cannot go through a whole cycle coaching only the best clubs. You eventually have to drop down at some point, and then you find your way back up. Considering how far he had dropped, because if you look at the names he had gone to Benfica. Benfica is a big club, but it's not in the level of certain clubs. He went to a Besiktas, where he ended up fighting and he left. He went to a Roma. They are not in the status of certain clubs in Europe. So for him, like Shekun said, for him to find his way back to the very highest level speaks to the quality he has, speaks to the legend surrounding him, Mourinho. I hope he does. I hope he does well.
Do you see Mourinho, Oje, do you see Mourinho staying long?
I want to disagree with Jide. I think he's got the capacity to. I mean, the way he left, he feels he wants to go back to rewrite, to do some things he didn't do properly that first time. I mean, when you get a second chance, you want to really go back and do. And again, Madrid must have looked all over the world. I mean, Europe, all the candidates, which coach will do the job. I mean, you won't just give anybody, like the way Xavi got that job now. I mean, no surprise he didn't last there. You won't just give anybody. They don't want to repeat that again, And so they have to scan properly, and the only person available was Mourinho. Even though he was still with Benfica, but available in the sense that he was the one they wanted. He was the man that can do the job. He was the coach that had the name, the pedigree. I mean, for you to coach in Madrid, you must have done a lot of things. You achieved a lot, won titles. And Mourinho was the only person who Zidane wanted to do something else. He was already out. Wanted the French job. That was what he was waiting for. He waited patiently for that, and now he's got it. So Mourinho was one. And the moment they spoke to him, I'm sure it was. I mean, Benfica didn't make any noise. They knew that Benfica knew the fact that they had a coach who was bigger than them. I mean, no disrespect to Benfica, and so it was easy to get him out of Benfica, and he wanted to go back there.
Okay, we'll leave Jose and wish him. Well, I can't help wishing him luck because he's my, like Shegun knows, he's my guy. Everybody has their guy. Okay. But gentlemen, can we look at the player personnel? You know, in Real Madrid now, does he really have the kind of players we know he used to play? Shegun?
It also, if we start from back to front, the Belgian guy, that is one of the best. What's his name now? Belgium, Couture, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Housen, who came up from Bournemouth, had a reasonable descent. Trent Alexander. They brought in Kukureya. Forget that. We're coming now. We're coming. Those ones there for front.
Probably Rudiger.
Yeah, we've got Konate. I think it's a solid, there's solid platform. Then you go into the midfield. Valverde, somebody he there, Tchouaméni had a fight or something, but I've always had a lot of time for Freddy Valverde. Fantastic player, in my opinion. Tchouaméni, Camavinga, who doesn't even get a game. You've got what you will call it, the star boy. No, Starboy Bellingham. Jude Bellingham, he had a fantastic World Cup. Then the likes of Mbappe, Vinicius Junior. It's a solid squad, and you have Ibrahim Diaz, the Moroccan. There's so much, and they're still bringing in players. Yeah, so I think for me, it's like Christmas has come early for Jose. I honestly didn't see him getting to that peak anymore. And, I don't think for much guys out there, like Dudu and I, you won't believe looking at it, but Dudu is older than me, but he doesn't look it. Dudu die, okay, but that's another argument for another day. But hey, then you can still get it done. I think it's brilliant one, and I hope it ends well. I hear what you say about his volatility, but I don't know. I think he'll realize that this is his last bus stop. After here, I don't think you understand. I think he'll get the job.
He talked about his volatility. I think he will. That's a point you've raised, and I'm sure he will want to tune it down. Especially what happened at Roma, what happened at Fenerbahce, especially at Fenerbahce, and the fact that throughout Gala was just making them look like
also runs
exactly. So this time around, it's a job. He wanted to get a big job, and this big job has come.
The biggest
man. So this really will be something he will hold every day. I'm sure he will be adding prayers to it.
Yeah, Shegun says Christmas has come for Real Madrid and Jose.
Yes, so they had, even last season when they didn't do very well, they had a good squad. It was the internal issues they had that did not really let them do as well as it could have done. So what they really needed, even if they had kept the whole of last season's squad, they just needed a coach that could stamp an authority on that team. Because if you look at the people they had, I see no reason why Madrid ever went for an Arbeloa. It was a complete mismatch. There was no reason why a team of that stature would look for a coach that had not done anything significant anywhere. So clearly the job was way bigger than it was. So they realized that they just needed somebody who could stamp his authority on the team. Now, they knew they had the players. They clearly had the players. If you watch the way Madrid played throughout last season, they were not that far off Barcelona. It was just that Barcelona was a more settled side. And Madrid had internal problems, some management to the dressing room and all of that. So yes, Christmas has come early. Jose really has no reasons not to do well this season. He has everything he needs. Especially they get a Rodri. And they get a Diomande that they are very close to getting as well. That team is going to be a fantastic team to play.
Well, looks like Chelsea of 2005, 2006 Okay, we'll take a little break when we come back for the final segment. Best of football. Welcome back. We're still on to the best of football, and you have three gentlemen who know everything about football, the business, the tactical part, and the talking points. Gentlemen, welcome back to this final segment of the program. Shego, you are a great Man U fan. Is this the season for? Well, let's look at the managers first. Would Man U retain Carrick?
Good question. It depends on. I'm not too happy about Man U's transfers so far. It's not enough, in my opinion. In fact, right now, I think I was on another platform. I predicted that I feel that the three London clubs will finish in top four, and I'll tell you why. Arsenal are the most settled side in the Premier League because they're the champions. That'll be a really solid squad if they pick up Gomes from Newcastle. He'll be an invaluable addition to them, maybe a striker.
Yeah.
I think Vinny going there is fanciful, But funny enough, their new coaches. Who finished second? City, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maresca, new coach. Even though they've strengthened with this Anderson boy and all that, and all City, they've always had a strong squad anyway. But I'm kind of really impressed with Chelsea. Chelsea in the sense that I was listening to something about Chelsea has 46 players. That's 46, amazing. But bringing in 235 and 36-year-olds to me is key. What's his name? The guy from Brighton. Henderson Hardwell and Danny Welbeck. I think that's good around. Not necessarily on the field, but in the dressing room and everything. Some good young guys and all that. And Chelsea has raised £100 million in that much as the spent about £250 million. The base Olympic, so that's good for that. And then Spurs has supported very well. Spurs has Tonali, Fernandez, Van Ecke from the right, and they brought in some excellent players. Robertson from Liverpool. So I'm thinking, based on transfers alone, I'm thinking three London clubs, maybe I sit as top four right now, in no particular order. United outside the top four with although I love this boy that we got from you guys, Santos, thinks it's a player. I think the purchase of Belgian captain was a masterstroke of that million pounds, Telemans, but it's not enough. It's still not enough. That's what is still short.
Man U would need two new fullbacks, in my opinion.
A whole new defense. I mean, what's Maguire's done. Luke Shaw, done. Done. Although we have Aiden Heaven, we have that young French boy. He's good place. He played in right back in our last game. Dallo is not a defender. United shot is that's why I'm a diehard United. I like Carrick, and I believe he did very well to get us into third place. But based on the fact that the Ineos has refused to strengthen that team with what Chelsea and Spurs have done and what Arsenal's existing squad already, that's what got them over the line. And Liverpool too, I'm a bit worried for their new manager, and they've not really involved number much. So I think three London clubs at City as top for me right now.
Okay. Jide is the one Newcastle fan. And
in Nigeria.
The last time I met a Newcastle fan was in England some 15, 20 years ago. Jide, your coach has moved. What do we expect? What should we expect from Newcastle?
Unfortunately, it's going to be more of what we saw last season. Going by everything that is happening. Newcastle, like United, hasn't done very much in the transfer markets. If I was selling all the best players. And if you come from a season like we had last year, and you go into a new season without strengthening the team, and then you lose the coach, who somehow, despite not having significant pedigree, managed to stabilize the club, Even though at the back of his mind, he kind of got the sense that it was not the chosen one for Newcastle, even when he got it. But they allowed him almost 5 years. So it tells you that they recognize the effort he had put in. It's not looking good. I have a theory that if Newcastle would drop or finish lower than 14th this season, which would be a shame, but that's how it's looking, because last season we struggled to get anywhere close to the top 10. With all the players we've lost and the fact that we're not buying anybody of any kind of quality now, it does not look like Newcastle is redeemed very much this season.
Oh dear. OJ, let's go to Liverpool. I'm a Chelsea fan, but I find Liverpool, everything about their history, interesting. Fascinating from the days of Kenny Dalglish, Robbie Fowler, Michael Owen, and Rush. Rush. Now you have a coach that I respect so much, because I think their coach did very well at Bournemouth, and he quits before the season ended. Would you say he had a hint that the Liverpool job was only available? And what do you think his presence do?
Somehow, when things like this happen, you want to believe that someone must have told him that, look, this job will be available for you. Are you interested? And I'm sure that. So I want to believe that kind of conversation, obviously happened. But then he has a job now
in secret.
In secret, yeah. It happens in football. It happens in football. Players, coaches, in secret. But now he has the job. Bournemouth is a small club. He has been able to manage that club with all they've had, and now again the quality of players too. He's also done a good job with those players. Now he's come to a bigger team, you want to compare this Alonso moving from Leverkusen to Madrid. This is something like that again, from Bournemouth to Liverpool, and nobody's going to wait for him to say, okay, he's a new coach. The last guy won the title and was still told to leave. So if you are here, that means you want to win the title. They've won the title. So it's not the years when they were struggling to get it. They've won the title. They want it again. They want results straight. They want result instantly. And Salah is, no longer there. So how is he going to achieve all of that? I want to believe he's good for the job. He's a man for the job, and he can manage the squad and get the results. But we win the title, it will be difficult.
Okay. Ready. City with Maresca. Forgive me if I say Maresca is one coach I don't rate much. Because the way he was like a crazy scientist at Chelsea. He has two natural fullbacks on the bench, then moves arguably the world's best defensive midfielder to right back. He did it in one or two games, and it didn't end well for Chelsea. Is he going to carry that? You see him carrying that to City?
Well, in fairness to Maresca, he did win the Conference League. You can only win what you participated. And most importantly, he beat the best team in the world, in my opinion, in the World Club Cup last summer. So he did do something. At least he put some silverware in the cupboard there. I think Bluco has changed a lot, as we've seen now. So I think along the line too, I don't believe I disagree with OJ on Iraola's having a hint that Slot was going to be sacked. I think the whole world was shocked. But I think he had just taken Bournemouth as far as go, which was to qualify for Europe for the first time in history, and they were just an ace away. Results didn't go there with the draw with City, cost them qualification for Champions League. They probably would have finished Champions League, which would have been brilliant. But Maresca actually, City sounded Maresca out for the City job. So I think they had a hint that Pep was leaving, sounded Maresca, and Chelsea got to know. That's why Maresca was supposed to have paid some compensation out of his own pocket in Chelsea, because Chelsea really outed him. They put it there in black and white. But we should remember too that Maresca was part of City's title-winning show. Treble-winning squad. He was in the back row. So he knows the ins and outs of that side. He knows a lot of... Look at Phil Foden. People are speculating maybe we'll put on for sale. What does Maresca gives him a new deal? he's going to try and hold on to Rodri. Whether that will happen, we don't know. So I think Maresca will do well with City. He might not be able to have that dominating effect that Pep had, but he's definitely not good. There's not going to be a fall off like there was when Fergie left. No, there's significant. Do you understand? It's a different dip. You understand? I think it's going to maintain. They may not necessarily win the league, but as I've already predicted, they might top 4 PH.
Okay, title chasers. Man U, I dare to say. Liverpool, yes. City, yes. And I want to add Tottenham to that list.
Oh, definitely.
Jerry?
Yeah, because they bought very well. First and foremost, they got a very, very good coach. Roberto De Zerbi is a coach that has not got the flowers he's deserved over time. He's been in Premier League before, wasn't very well rated. He left, went to France, did a fantastic job in France. Now he's back. And if you look at the players he has bought for that team, Premier League tested and proven, very good quality players. And then to a large extent, he's managed to keep a good core of the players from last season. So all he's done is basically strengthen a team that, based on performances last season, did not look like it was good. But Tottenham actually had a good team last season. Something just happened and it just did not show.
Injuries, terrible injuries.
Yes. But now he's complemented that team with some very good footballers. And in my opinion, I see Tottenham, like Shegun said earlier, I see Tottenham in the top 4. There's absolutely no reason why they cannot get into top 4 this season. They have everything it takes. And then they seem to have managed to solve the executive level issues they had in the past because, Daniel Levy and always has issues with executives around his board and all of that. They seem to have managed to solve that. He has stepped back a little bit more and lets the sporting directors and the other people get on with the game now. So they have every reason to do well this season, and I think they are still in the top 4.
Okay, we're talking about title chasers. Title defense for us now, Shegun. I would find it difficult to look away from the fact of Arsenal retaining the title, but what really is their strength?
Arsenal's strength, as everybody knew, they had the best defense in Europe, in my opinion. They came within the Gabriel penalty kick of winning the Champions League as well. Thank God they did it. Yes. For all you Arsenal fans out there, it's you guys. The world would have ended. Can you imagine if Arsenal won the league, Champions League, and England had won the World Cup? I don't go come back to football. I know top football. I know top football till Arsenal have everything it takes to. Maybe the only thing they need, maybe a bit more creativity in midfield. Very cheesy. For me, this guy's a bit strictly as Arteta. I don't think he allowed that boy to flourish. That boy started off so well, made one mistake in a particular game. I think they lost that game and he dropped it. I mean, that boy for me, I thought was the missing piece of the jigsaw. So if they bring in Kumara, maybe if they could get that striker then on the left, they're not too. Saka is on the right. Martinelli, not really
at that level.
And not at that level. So maybe they got a left winger, maybe another striker. But I think of all teams, I think they have the deepest squad still. Then.
And then a manager who's been there for quite a bit.
Yeah, he's been there for how many years? 6, 7 years now? And we're talking finishing second 3 times in a row and virtually getting to the promised land.
There for what? And that is there for the long.
The only challenge they have is that in the history of that club, they have never defended their title. Never. Us has never in their history done back-to-back titles. So that will be history working against them.
Wow. Maybe that's what they'll have to work on. Again, if you look at it, first of all, as we say in Nigeria, continuity, they've got that working for them. It seems almost the same squad again, same coach. Maybe 1 or 2 coming in. And so they've got something, that unit still there. So that might just be the edge they'll have over other teams.
Okay, let's look at the outstanding transfers. There's some you wonder why 1 or 2 players will leave a team that is playing in the Champions League and going to 10th place Chelsea, who are not going to be in Europe.
So yes, regardless of So, like we said about Real Madrid earlier, there are a few clubs around Europe that have history, have pedigree. Players will always want to go to those clubs, regardless of how badly they've played over a few years. Are they Manchester United? If United talks about a player now, they will leave wherever they are, as long as that club is not a bigger club. I think that in the moment. So Chelsea is still a big club, regardless of they've underperformed, and you can a lot of that is down to executive level decisions that have been made over the last few years. But it doesn't take away the fact that they are still a very, very big club. So it's understandable that players will always want to go there, particularly seeing that is a club that has a very high ceiling. And you can tell that there's still a lot that they can do, even though they spent too long with very inexperienced players, and it's beginning to it has
Experienced coaches too.
and coaches as well. Even though those inexperienced coaches still want them money to win, and that's what I mean about pedigree. If a team like Chelsea still manages to win titles despite all the unnecessary experiments they've made over the last few years, it just tells you about the stature of the club and the mindset behind. So what Chelsea is still, at some point, it felt like they were running on the fumes that Mourinho and Abramovich had left in the tank, basically. But it seems that Gluco is now beginning to understand that it's not so much about commercialization. You have to win on the field as well. So,
Yeah, I always question Gluco's model because if you want a group of youngsters given long contracts, you hope to sell them in a few years' time, and you are not winning. Morale goes down, form drops, value drops. So now that they brought in some more experience, but though I'm not too comfortable with grandpas like
Henderson, I think,
yes.
however.
Now I think they stretched that.
Maybe with experience. Mayu Ferguson brought in Owen at some point, and he delivered for the purpose he wanted him for. Delivered. So maybe there's a plan for Henderson and in attack, second half and all of that. The experience might work out well. We don't know how it might turn out to be, but it might just turn out well, and the coach, justify at the end of the day.
I'll tell you what, Chelsea are like my dark horses for the league title, and I'll tell you why. The last time Chelsea won the league, Chelsea has won it for 10 years. Yeah. Last time was Conte, 16, 17, no European football.
Yeah.
Nothing. They're not traveling beyond the borders of.
Yeah.
All they have to do, like United, you understand, and they start off with a coach. Yavi Alonso, for me, is a decent coach. Just 90 minutes away from going unbeaten all season in all competitions.
Yes.
Even Arsenal couldn't do that. It was totally cool. Yeah. They got to the final of Europa League and they came up against an inspired Atlanta and lost that one game in the whole season. So what we're talking about, I disagree, Dudu. I like the signings of Welbeck. Welbeck, remember, scored 13 Premier League goals last season. Yeah. Henderson fine 36. But around the Premier League, I watched England, when they were showing us in the Lions Den and everything, when they still thought they were going to, Bellingham and Morgan Rogers. Oh, I bought Morgan Rogers. That's a decent player. Yeah. Obama, Morgan Rogers, Yao Pedro. Yeah. What was Neto? We're talking about a solid Caicedo, Fernandez in the middle of the park. You understand? Maybe some more, your goalkeeping department still a bit dodgy, Sanchez.
Oh, dear. Don't remind me about that, man.
But I think with the experience, that mix of youth and experience, and I must appreciate Bluco for realizing the error of their ways, correcting it. You understand? And I see Chelsea having a good ceiling, and I agree with Jide that the ceiling is very high, especially
Jide, I want to look at Villa. They are in the Champions League, and they let go some good players. Oh, what's Unai Emery thinking of?
So off camera, Shegun mentioned that Villa seems to be where Chelsea were a few seasons ago. They are making some very strange decisions at the moment, because if you manage to get into the Champions League, you hope to keep your best players. But the thing is, American owners of football clubs, they're almost always the same. you know, they do very, very similar things. They make decisions that you can't really understand, primarily because they are more interested in the commercial aspects of the game as against. They hope that while they are being commercial, you still manage to win something along the way, but they don't really invest so much in them wanting you to win. Villa will struggle a bit. If you look at the last Champions League season, they were very, very close to getting into the last four.
Yeah.
So they
They
were
are losing at the final, and the one before last.
they won the last one. They were very close. But then they still had all the quality. They've lost Tillemans, they've lost Morgan Rogers. I struggle to see how they will still be fine in the Premier League. They definitely will not do top four, but I see them finishing 6th, 7th, maybe no lower than 7th in my opinion. But in Europe, I don't see them. They won't be able to do very much.
No, okay, if I can just jump in there for a bit. In fairness, their sales, they sold 3 key players this season. Lucadena, going to PSG. It was what they call this in payments clause. Bio clause. Tillemans, bio clause. That's £5 billion. So you can question who put in those, but then Morgan Rogers, I think they bought him £8 or £10 million for Middlesbrough. Sold him for 170 million. They were never going to look at one. And they got him on 20-year-old from Freiburg or from the Bundesliga. Mazambi. This was a fantastic year. And then apparently they have one 17-year-old too, who is like the next Lukaku. You understand? Unfortunately, because he was born in the UK, but he played, I think, in the Bundesliga as well. So probably won't be allowed to play his league. So I think Villa will still be competitive, but as I said, I don't think they're looking at.
And they have a good coach.
Fantastic coach.
Good evening. Yeah, in his first Arsenal. He will clear his throats with good evening. All right, that's about all we have time.
He didn't when he realized that he didn't like it.
That's about all we have time for this week, and we'll be back next week to talk more of European football, all of European football, but more of Premiership. From our guest, Segun.
An absolute pleasure. I actually had some nerves on stage right, but hey, I think I muddled through. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. From OJ.
Nice getting to see Segun. For a long time, I've not seen him.
You can touch me that.
And Jide.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. I had a good time.
All right. We'll be back next week.